Hello, Dr. Joe here of the drjoe.com and the 2020forum.com. If you didn't know that I love celery, you're going to find out in this video. I do. And I've done a couple of videos on celery before. One of them was on celery smoothie and the other was on celery juice. Here's a clip from the celery juice video. So there we go. So this is a 16-ounce glass, 500 mils. So I'm going to pour what we need in here. And here is a clip from the celery smoothie video. So we're gonna stuff in the celery now into the NutriBullet cup, okay? So this is the first batch. We have to do it in 2 batches to reduce the bulk. And then we add in some water, okay? Add some water in. And then it's blitzing time. So we do it in 2 batches, okay? So we've reduced the bulk. Next we're gonna do now is add some more, okay? More of the celery. And then we add the fruit. Okay? Blitz again. Excellent. So smoothie number 1 is ready. Okay? I aim to finish all of this. All right? So let's just give it a taste. The celery taste is still very much out there. It's not overpowered by the kiwi. So just the way I like it in this instance. So as you can see there, both videos are talking about the same celery but are consumed in different formats. And that has left some people a little bit confused and they're wondering which one to use. So I decided to do this video to clarify that and to give you some pointers as to which way to lean. So I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of celery juice and celery smoothie. So without wasting any more time, let's get into it. By the way, what I'm about to say here is based on my personal experience, meaning the claims here are anecdotal. They're not the products of randomized controlled trials. I needed to say this such that if there are any purists watching this video, they'll be on the same page with me. So with that in mind, let's crack on. So we're going to talk about the pros and cons of celery juice and then celery smoothie. So let's start off with celery juice. We're going to talk about the pros first of all. It's always a good idea to start off with pros before you talk about cons. So what are the pros of using celery juice? So the first one is that to get the 16 ounces that you saw in that video clip, you need to use 2 bunches of celery. And by 2 bunches of celery, I'm referring to this. This is 1 bunch. So you need 2 of these to be able to extract 16 ounces of celery juice. And that's a good thing because you end up using a lot of celery in one session. And that's one thing I like about using celery juice. So that's the first pro. What that also means is because you're using so much celery, it tells us that you end up getting a concentrated source of minerals. And by minerals, I'm referring to potassium, magnesium, and calcium. Okay, so that's another pro there, which is good. And that also leads us to the next one, which means by juicing 2 bunches of celery, you also end up with a concentrated source of vitamins A, C, and K. So that's good. Let's move on to the next pro. And this next pro is very, very important because there is a phytonutrient that is called 3N-butyl thiolide. Okay, this phytonutrient has cardiovascular benefits. Okay, cardiovascular benefits, which leads me on to the next pro of celery juice, which is the fact that you can use the juice for blood pressure management. Okay, for me, this was what attracted me to celery in the first place. The fact that when I juice it, I get lots of 3N-butyl thiolide, which means it will help me with my blood pressure management. So that's a very nice pro. Next pro is that you can also use celery juice for weight loss. But to do that, you will need to do celery juice fast. Okay, and then let's move on to the next pro, which is that celery juice is also good for gut function, in particular bloating and gas. Okay, I can attest to that. So that's another pro of using celery juice. Let's move on. The next pro of using celery juice is that it's also useful as a sleep aid. Okay, I can also attest to that. When I have my celery juice, especially in the evenings, almost guaranteed of getting fantastic sleep. So that's another pro of celery juice. Next is that when you consume celery juice, it could help you with exercise tolerance. Okay, and why is that? Well, it's because celery's got some nitrates in it, so the nitrates may help you with being more tolerant of exercise, so you have more endurance. Okay, when you are exercising. Okay, so that's a very good pro. Next, I've noticed is that when I drink celery juice, it's got this calming effect on me. Okay, calming effect on me, which means if you've got anxiety issues, you could also have celery. You may find it useful. So those are the pros of using celery juice. Now let's talk about the cons. We've got to talk about them. So what are the cons of using celery juice? Well, it is the fact that this is very obvious. You end up discarding the pulp. Okay, you end up discarding the pulp, and the pulp has got the fiber. The pulp has the fiber, which is not necessarily a good thing. And another con of celery juice is that, of course, you're going to use a juicer to make the celery juice. Juicers are harder to clean relatively compared to blenders that you use for the smoothie. Okay, so that's another con. The other con of celery juice is that it is time consuming to prepare. Okay, it takes me about 30 to 45 minutes to juice the 16 ounces because you've got to wash every single stick in the 2 bunches, and then you end up juicing all of it individually. So that takes time. So that's another con. And the last but not the least con for celery juice is that you have less antioxidants available. Okay, less antioxidants available. I'm going to explain what that means when I talk about the smoothie. Okay, I'm going to give you the reason why. So that is for celery juice. Now let's move on and talk about the smoothie. So smoothie, let's align this. So what are the pros of using celery smoothie? The first one is that it is faster to prepare. That's good compared to the juice. The juice takes me a long time, but the smoothie very quickly. And also another pro is that because you use blenders to make smoothie, blenders are easier to clean. So, compared to juicers. So that's another pro of using celery smoothie. And the big pro of celery smoothie is that you discard nothing. Okay, the pulp is yours too, and that's a big pro. Okay, the pulp is yours too, so that's nice. Which also means that because the pulp has more flavonoids. Okay, and that leads me on to the next pro for celery smoothie, which is that you have more antioxidants available. Okay, more antioxidants available, and by antioxidants I'm referring to caffeic acid, luteolin, and ferulic acid. Okay, you have them available. Why is that? Well, it's because a lot of the antioxidants, they are apparently bound to the fiber. So when you discard the fiber, you lose a lot of the antioxidants. So that's one big pro of using celery smoothie. Next pro is that if you are going to use celery for management of lupus, okay, autoimmune diseases I should say, like lupus and rheumatoid arthritis, the smoothie is better than the juice. And I will encourage anybody who is going to do that to add leafy greens and seeds such as chia seeds and flax seeds. Okay, so they're important if you're going to manage your autoimmune diseases using celery. So that's another pro there. And for another pro here is that celery smoothie is ideal for weight loss because you get the filling effect. Okay, the fiber fills you up. The fiber fills you up, and that's good. All right. That's that. Next pro of using celery smoothie is that the fiber feeds your gut microbiome, and that's important because if you keep your gut microbiome happy, they will protect you. Okay, so that's a very good pro of using celery smoothie. Next is that if you use a smoothie, if you have issues with constipation, that will help you out. Okay, if you're using celery smoothie, if you got constipation issues, you'll be fine. Okay, it will resolve it for you, but you have to drink plenty of water with it. Okay, so that's another pro of using celery smoothie. Next is that celery smoothie is useful for blood sugar control. Okay, because of the fiber, it slows down the blood sugar absorption, so you don't have blood sugar spikes. Okay, so that's another pro of using the smoothie. Next pro of using celery smoothie is that if it is useful for non-alcoholic fatty liver. Okay, yes, okay, it is useful for non-alcoholic fatty liver. Next is that the smoothie, regardless of the fact that you're losing some of the 3N-butyl thiolide and some of the minerals, I have found from personal experience that it is still useful for blood pressure control. Okay, it is still useful for blood pressure control. So you can still use the smoothie for that purpose. Okay. Next pro is that the smoothie is also useful for sleep. Okay, especially if you add leafy greens to it. All right. So another pro there of using celery smoothie. Now let's move on to the cons. There have to be some cons. So what are the cons of using celery smoothie? One is that you end up using less celery. So for the juice, you need 2 of these. For the smoothie, you're going to probably use about 8 sticks of the celery. Okay, if you push it, maybe 10. So it means you are consuming less of the celery. So is that a bad thing? In a way it is, but it still works regardless. Next con of celery smoothie is that you also have the phytonutrient that I talked about, less of the 3N-butyl thiolide. And the next con is that you also have less magnesium, potassium, and calcium. And which also means you are going to be getting less vitamin A, C, and K. So those are the cons of using celery smoothie. Basically, those are the pros and cons of using celery juice versus celery smoothie. So what's my verdict between the two? Well, here's the thing. The two are not necessarily mutually exclusive. you can use both. I still use both. When I started my journey, I was using more of the celery juice. So it was more of 80% juice, and then 20% of the time I was using the smoothie, because at that time I believed more on using the celery juice. But as time has gone on, and also because my blood pressure is better managed as we speak, I've switched over to using more of the celery smoothie now. So at the moment, I'm using 70% celery smoothie, and 30% of the time I'm using celery juice. So it depends on where you are and what's important to you based on the pros and the cons that I outlined there. Just run through that list, and if there's anything that's more important to you, for instance, if you're trying to manage your non-alcoholic fatty liver, or you're trying to lose some weight, the smoothie will be better for you than the juice, okay? And if you are at the beginning of managing, say, your blood pressure, then the juice will be better. So you're going to use more of the juice and less of the smoothie. So that's the way I will approach it, okay? At the moment, I'm leaning more towards more of celery smoothie than the juice. But I still juice, it's just that I juice 30% of the time, and 70% of the time I use the smoothie. So hopefully that helps. If you got some value from this video, please give the video a thumbs up. Please like the video. Please share this video with your friends, family, and colleagues. Which one of these have you been using? Are you using more of the juice, or are you using more of the smoothie? Please let me know in the comment section down below. And if you're not using celery at the moment, why don't you? You should. Also, do let me know right below. I think that's about it. Until next time, well, this is Dr. Joe signing out.